It's an easy day in the garden today, so I thought we'll do a garden tour and we'll harvest some flowers. Welcome to Planting Joy Garden and to my July garden tour. We're going to start here. As you can see, I have these beautiful sugar snap peas, and it's really late in the season, but it took so long for my soil temperatures to warm up. Okay, I also have some yellow wax beans here and some blue lake bush beans. So these are more of the blue lake bush beans. And here are the yellow wax beans, also Cherokee wax. They tend to have this vining habit even though they are bush beans. So they don't vine very tall. Okay. Next up is my Swiss chard. Now we're expecting high temperatures in the 90s for the first time this season. And so I have cut back everything so that the plants don't become stressed. I'm actually harvesting. And so I have weekly harvests of Swiss chard. And this is the Ford Hook variety. And I did get a random what looks like bright lights in here. Okay. Now here is my onion bed and they are developing nicely. I could actually harvest them now. So all of these can be harvested. It's a variety of onions, red wing, Walla Wallas, and ringmasters. So I'm going to wait for the next to bend before harvesting. I'm going to let them go their full life cycle. Up on the trellis here, you can see I have my sweet 100s and they're starting to ripen. So here we go. That's just beautiful. And so I've given it a trellis to grow up and over. Okay. Let's just keep going in this line. So here I have some ornamentals. These are my hostas. These are the Patriot hostas. They're starting to bloom. They bloom a large purple flower, more of a cone-shaped flower that the bees simply love. And here's my pride and joy. This is my Annabelle hydrangea. It grows to a maximum height of 3 to 4 feet, but I think its spread now is about 7 feet. So we're going to stop and harvest some hydrangeas. So I'm going to gather some of the fully opened hydrangeas here. I think I'll take this one. That's just beautiful. I think I want 3. This one. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. It's just wonderful to be able to bring in fresh flowers. Now, here's a part of the garden you rarely see on camera, but this is my daylilies. I'm not 100% sure of the name, but they're absolutely beautiful. And it's nice to be able to look out a window, look out into the distance, and see these beautiful flowers. Now, these have naturalized. I think I started with 6. And as you can see, they have gone all the way around. And behind them, in this shaded area, is another stand of hostas. Also in front of my shed to soften the shed are some hostas. And I have a grapevine here that kind of grows. I never get any fruit from it because I really don't tend to this grapevine. But it's here. It's loving this area. I actually have 2. One was a Welch grape. I believe this one is the Welch grape. And that one back there is the muscadine grape. Okay, now let's grab some flowers from here to add to the bouquet. So the thing with harvesting daylilies is you want to get a nice long stem. Like this has a double set of blooms. But these will open up. So when these close down and shed, you'll have these opening up, and it gives you uh, daylilies longer, lasting longer in your arrangement. Same thing here. This one is open, but these two are closed. So this arrangement will last a lot longer by taking double blooms and making sure you have open bloom and a closed bloom. So let's add this to the arrangement. I think I'll put it right up the middle. And this is what we have so far. Let's see what else we can gather. Now that we got the flowers, let's actually enter the garden. So here's the entrance to my kitchen garden. And so we'll go in and we'll do this second row. I think we'll start with the ornamentals. Now, kitchen garden is a wonderful combination of your ornamentals, your flowers, your herbs, your bushes, your non-edibles, and your vegetables. It's a place where you combine everything that you want to grow in one place, and they all work together beautifully. Okay, so here I have my ferns, and they are doing absolutely wonderful. We've had cloudy skies and cool temperatures, and so they are thriving. Okay, also in this corner here tucked in, I have chives. So stuck in between my ornamental is a herb container. So I'm growing chives. It is both edible, aromatic, and it's the perfect little thing to add into the ornamental section of my garden. So it's wedged between my hydrangeas, my ferns, and hostas. And I want to mention that everything in my kitchen garden is safe so that if it's eaten accidentally, it would not cause any harm. Okay, so I have chives in this pot. And as we move along, here I have a medicinal herb. I have yarrow. And the thing about yarrow, it is a repeat bloomer. So it's absolutely beautiful. Down here, I have a Stella Doro daylily. Now, even the daylilies, they are not true lilies. They're in a class all their own, and they are not poisonous. So I have some Stella Doros right here. It's not open at this time. It's actually losing flowers, but it's a repeat bloomer. Under this thickness of the ferns, I have additional hostas. I don't know the name of these. Now, these hostas are getting a little pest damage, but that's why they're here. They're here to attract insects. My frogs hang out here. My frogs are well fed here with the hope that they will eat everything over here and then move into my vegetable gardens and keep my plants safe. Hey, I have a rose. This is my rambling rose. It is spent. Now, I could keep this to blooming by deadheading, but I purposely allow these roses to go their full life cycle because I'm harvesting for these hips here. So I want well developed hips, so I have to leave them on the plant. And as you can see, I got a little spider mite activity. So I'm hoping to harvest hips. I have started harvesting some hips. So like here, beautiful hip that I want to harvest. And when you smell the hips, the scent is totally different from the actual rose. Like this rose doesn't have a lot of scent, but the hips smell like a cross between cinnamon and lang lang. If you put cinnamon and lang lang, that's what rose hips smell like. They actually are quite tart when used in teas, and I plan on using my rose hips in tea. It reminds me when you first put a Skittle in your mouth and that tartness, that's the flavor I'm going for. Okay, so just in front of the rose, and I put it together so the rose blooms red. And this is my hardy hibiscus. It also blooms red. So I wanted red to stay in this corner. And so it is preparing to bloom really soon. This big, lovely dinner plate size blooms. Okay. Hey, over here I have oregano and it's doing amazing. I did stick in some onions. Look at those onions. I can't wait to harvest. Yes, they just look amazing. I also have some lovely chamomile, and I usually come out in the mornings and harvest my chamomile. You got to harvest early before the ants find out that they're there. But I've been harvesting chamomile for my teas. I also have lavender here, and it's growing really, really well. And I have lemon balm. Now, it had initial insect attacks, but I think that part is over. That insect has moved on. But this is a lovely grouping in containers. So I do use containers and raised beds in my kitchen garden. I put my ornamentals, which are all perennials, I have them in the ground. So back here in this corner, I have some autumn joys, and they bloom pink flowers, but they stay in these perfect little tufts until about September. In September, they open wide and they bloom, bloom, and bloom. And I will have color in this corner until the snow falls. I also have some small immature ferns growing in this corner as well. I had to do some thinning in this corner because of dog damage, but it still looks pretty good overall. So let's back up a little bit. Okay. And so that's the ornamental and herb side of my garden, including these containers. So we'll stop here and gather some lavender. This is a true lavender. It's perennial, but not in my zone 5B 6A garden. So I want to share with you my actual herb garden. So let's just take a stroll over to the other side. And here is my herb bed. I have some thyme. This is French thyme. I'm also growing additional chamomile and it's blooming beautifully. Lots of blooms here. I'm also growing some sage and I've done my best with sage. There's more lavender, also the true lavender. Here I have some lemon thyme and it's bloomed. I have a little rosemary and some Utah tall celery that's doing really well. I've harvested from here. Now let's gather some lavender from this bed. Now this is also the true lavender and I'm just going to get a few sprigs. The thing about lavender, the more you harvest, the more blooms you'll get. It's also a cut and come again flower. Okay, so this is what I have. Now right up the center, this is my pepper bed. So I'm growing beautiful Marconi peppers and it's really putting some peppers on here. This is cilantro. I have so much coriander. Now I grow my cilantro for the seeds, the corianders. I also grow it to attract beneficial insects and it's really doing its job. Down under my peppers, I have some little gem, which is a romaine type of lettuce, and it's acting as a mulch. It also needs the shade so that it doesn't bolt, and it's been a wonderful combination. Up on the post here on my arbor, I'm growing pole beans. Now these are the Kentucky Wonder on this side, and they're starting to make their way up. Okay. I also have an additional Marconi. These are smaller, just getting started. I have my lovely basil to kind of disguise my peppers from hornworms. I also have banana peppers that are coming on. So this is basically sweet peppers. I have a banana pepper here. And this one here. I found that Marconi peppers and banana peppers do the absolute best job in my Zone 5B 6A garden. I really can get a lot of size on them. They're a little tougher and will hold out to cold weather a little bit better. So they start off in cold soil and they end in cold soil. And I'm also seeing some pest damage, like something has been pooping over here. I don't see the pest at this time, but we'll figure it out. Okay, now this is my first potato container, and I do have potatoes here, so I have potatoes, and these will be coming out in the next 2 weeks. So we'll cover that back up. Oh, it's just loaded with potatoes. I can feel it. Okay, so that's one of my potato containers. Okay, we'll go over here. I also have pole beans growing up here on this side of my arbor. And I have two kind of pole beans. I have Kentucky Wonder and I have Blue Lake. So the Blue Lake is a little late, so it's here. It's also growing up this cord. And I have more potatoes, and they're starting to die back just a little. This container here also has potatoes, so it'll all be harvested. All of the potatoes will be harvested out, and this bed will become my winter squash bed. I'll be growing my squash on this arbor. I did make a mistake by planting pole beans over here. I meant to reserve this spot. It didn't happen. Okay, now let's take a look right behind me. This was my garlic bed along with some onions. The onions are not quite ready. These are the smaller onions. These are the onions I planted last. I plan on adding summer squash, 2 summer squash to this bed, so I left the areas open. I will be amending the soil to get those ready for planting. I have some marigolds in here. I also have bunching onions, and I have some carrots. Now, my soil was even too cold for carrots, and so I've been checking, and nothing's quite shouldering. And these are the longer carrots. Well, they're sizing up slowly, but I had two kinds. I had red corded chantenay on this side, but you know how they move, and scarlet nantes on this side. So scarlet nantes and red corded chantenays. And I have some that just kind of drifted around the bed. Okay, so I do let my bunching onions go to seed, and so I do have some new babies coming up, which is exciting to hear and know. Now, I do have clover. I make sure I pull these out because this is what the bunnies really want when they jump in your bed. My Illinois bunnies love these clovers. So I do have a patch in my garden where the bunnies can freely roam and eat the clover. But in the meantime, I make sure I pull them from the beds. Now let's take a look at my patio garden. Now this is an area where it's highly accessible. I can garden while standing. I can garden in a chair. It's an area where I know I can garden as I age. So let's just take a quick look at what we have here. Now this is my leafy green tower. I'm growing various leafy greens such as kale, turnips, lettuce. I have had all kinds of things here. I'm also seeding additional kale, and I have some collard greens on standby to fill in the empty places when I pull out the turnip greens. Okay, so this is an area I keep covered because pretty much everything here is brassica or lettuce. And so I do have some ruby red lettuce here. I have some little gem turnips. I have all the leafy greens here, and this planter can produce enough food for 2 people if I keep it planted from season to season. Okay, this is my newest tower, and this is what I would consider a potato tower. I have Yukon Golds growing down here on the bottom, and they were planted as a succession planting to my potato bed. I also have some mint growing in because I like to produce my own teas, and chocolate mint is one of my favorite mints, and this is a great way to keep mint contained. On top here, I am growing some additional crops. I'm experimenting with some sweet potatoes, slips, and so I have a couple there, and I have some extra Yukon Golds. Now, I've never grown sweet potatoes before, but I did manage to grow out some slips. If I don't get any sweet potatoes, it's quite okay. I am in zone 5B, and this is not the place to grow sweet potatoes, but I thought it was a great learning opportunity. So let's move on. Okay, now we're going to move over to the next tower, and this tower is a combination of strawberries, onions. I have some pepper, some basil. It's a companion planting tower. So here I do have some onions that are doing really, really well. I'm surprised at how well my onions did here in this green stalk. This is the first time I've grown onions in the green stalk, and it is working. But my plan is once the onions are done, I am going to move my strawberries into the vacant pockets. I lost a lot of strawberries during the winter. So I do plan on just propagating from the plants that survived and filling this tower out again. I also have some basil growing in here with the onions. Let's see. I have basil in several places, and all of that is to support this jalapeno pepper I have growing here, and it's actually doing quite well. The leaf color is amazing, and it's starting to flower, and I have signs of fruit. So I'm also growing some celery here down on the bottom, which is growing extremely well. This is the Utah tall celery, and I'm amazed at how well it thrives with compressed roots. I'm also impressed that you really don't have to blanch your celery because of the growth pattern here in this green stalk. It really keeps the leaves combined, and they can kind of shade themselves and blanch their own stems, which I think is amazing. So I'm really, really pleased on how my celery is doing, and I'm going to just take that one stalk, and I'll probably add this stalk to my flower arrangement. And you can pretty much put anything in a flower arrangement, but I'm very pleased with how this tower has grown. Okay, now I want to share this corner here with you. I do have some black-eyed Susans growing, and I also have 2 specimen hostas. And I wanted to have these as a hiding place for frogs. They need to be able to get around my yard undercover from the ornamental section all the way to my vegetable section. So you have to give them cover. Now this Patriot hosta is about 3 feet in diameter. It has the beautiful purple flowers on it that really attracts bees to this corner. This is another heirloom hosta, don't know the name, and it's pretty big. Also, it flowers and it'll produce a white flower. And behind these hostas will be some beautiful black-eyed Susan, also to attract pollinators to this corner. Now they won't bloom until September, but they'll bloom September until the actual first snowfall. So it's also a great source of food for birds in the fall and winter, but it keeps the bees and the frogs moving across my yard. Now, if anything today was helpful, entertaining, or if you learned anything, please hit the like button, subscribe, come back again. Now, here's my actual harvest of flowers today, and it's such a wonderful thing to be able to come out into your kitchen garden, gather food and flowers. Now, thank you so much. Have an amazing day, and don't forget to check out my journal on Amazon.